Welcome to the Joe Cozo Radio Show!
Welcome to the Joe Cozo Show! We are back, baby! Look, some new digs here, a little new background. Everything is starting to take place. Thank God. I mean, really, what I had to play that clip of Bill Maher because I know that the election is over. I know that we're almost 5 weeks now past, but I haven't done a show, and I cannot tell you how excited I am that we got rid of this whole liberal, woke ideology in government. It's not totally gone, but hopefully now with Donald Trump and his appointments and the people that he's doing, like Pete Hegseth, I know that he's having a difficult time trying to get through, and he's going to have a difficult time getting confirmed. There's an excellent piece in the New Yorker. If you just Google Pete Hegseth, New Yorker, and Jane Mayer. She is the author of the book, Dark Money. Yeah, I'm trying to think. I couldn't think of it. Dark Money. Fabulous book. I read it. Unbelievable. And it talks about how much dark money and how the CPACs all started by the Koch brothers and how, basically everything is just bought and paid for through political systems. These little CPAC groups and these people that create certain foundations so they can use propaganda, especially through the media, to promote a certain candidate. But anyway, she writes a piece in the New Yorker, which is really damning against Pete Hegseth. But when you look at it, it's going back 7-10 years ago, allegedly, that he's drunk at all these functions. He was a CEO of one of these Koch brothers, sort of subsidiaries that he was in charge of some military veterans group, and that he was taking them to strip clubs, and then he was hanging out with some of the girls. Then he got some girl that was married at a hotel back to his room, and the husband had no idea where the girl was. I mean, it's all this crazy nonsense. And the main reason they're coming after Pete Hegseth so hard is because he wants to get rid of the entire wokeness in the military. You got to have these people. You got to have the wokeness gone. I don't want anybody but killers in the military. Trained killers. That's all you do. I don't want purple hair. I don't want pregnant women making TikTok videos, and then all of a sudden they're not really even women. They're really guys when they snap their fingers and all of a sudden they turn into a drag queen. I don't want that. I want trained killers. I want to make sure that these individuals are going to be able to go up against Chinese soldiers and Russian soldiers, whether it's in Russia or the mountains of Asia. I don't know. But I'm not looking for transgenderism in the military. I'm not. And one of the things that Pete Hegseth says is he doesn't want any women on the front lines, in the trenches. Neither do I. Not even close. And it's nothing to do. Don't say it's sexism. All right? I don't want to be stuck in a trench with a female and now I get injured and she can't carry me out. I don't want it. There's plenty of other things that could be going on and done. I'd rather have two males in the trenches than a male and a female. And that's just my personal opinion. You don't believe it? Whatever. That's up to you. But for me, the military, trained killers. That's it. We're not talking about wokeness, purple hair, doing TikTok videos. I want you in uniform. I want your bed made. I want you, yes, sir, no, sir, push-ups galore. I want you with rifles, AKs. I want everything. I want you to be an expert on grenades, on tanks. That's it. Nothing else. So, again, Pete Hegseth, you got Kash Patel. I love him. We'll get into that. I'm not really going to hash on all of this here right now because there's so many things that I want to get into here. And one of them is this whole Daniel Penny got acquitted. He's the one who was in the chokehold in the subway. And for those that maybe you do know or don't know, here's a little background on it. Marine veteran Daniel Penny was acquitted in the chokehold death of the homeless subway rider Jordan Neely on Monday, spurring outrage, of course, from the liberal media. A Manhattan jury found Penny not guilty of criminally negligent homicide, charge that carried 4-year sentence. And the more serious charge, second-degree manslaughter, which carried a maximum of 15 years. They were both dismissed by Judge Wiley after jurors twice told the court they were deadlocked on the issue. Penny's defense argued that he was protecting others on the subway who were threatened by Neely's outburst. And prosecutors argued that Penny acted with too much force and his actions led to Neely's death. So let's break this down here for a second. You have a wacko, right? And let's face it. You go to New York City. I've been on the subways thousands of times, and there is complete wackos that you do not feel safe with. And they're on drugs. They have mental issues. And that's something that we have to start digging deep in, right? Why so many people have all these mental issues? And we'll get into that with the UnitedHealthcare case. We'll get into that in a little bit. But something is up. You know, you can sit there and say, oh, it's in the water. I think it's in these medications that are being given to these people. I think, first of all, another thing is the marijuana is way too strong. And almost everybody who's living on the streets or homeless in New York City, and even here in West Palm Beach, the homeless people, some homeless people here in downtown where I live, they're all on drugs. Their brains are fried. They all have mental issues. They're all talking to themselves. I'm sure they're smoking the pot that now has THC up to, wazoo, up to 30 THC levels. You can't even function. You ever smoke this new weed? You get these medical marijuana weed, you're done. Gone. See you later. Goodbye. Can't even function. Can't do anything. And that's what you got these people on the street. And who knows what else they're doing. Plus, they have mental issues probably to begin with. That's why they don't want to get a job. And then they stay homeless because they're getting $2,000 a month from the government. And they don't want to work because if they make any money, the $2,000 is going to go away. And they're like, well, if I work 40 hours a week at Wendy's, I won't even make $2,000 a month. So I'd rather just sit home and do absolutely nothing, or sit on the street and do absolutely nothing. But back to this case, right? You have a Marine. He's on the subway. This guy, Jordan Neely, is harassing other people. And then here comes Penny and puts this guy in some MMA chokehold. Now, it's up for debate how long that you want to put this guy in a chokehold. You know, when you look at it, you're like, well, wait a second. Once the guy's subdued and once the guy's no longer a threat and you have him there and nothing else could happen, you would kind of think of, hey, listen, ease up, right? But what the defense attorneys were arguing was that there was other causes to what actually took place here. So I want to play for you. This is Daniel Penny, and he was interviewed yesterday on Fox News. And you get to see what type of person this guy is. He looks like he's really subdued. He doesn't want any attention, and he says it here. Watch this. This is Daniel Penny.
I mean, I'm not a confrontational person. I don't really extend myself. I think this type of thing is very uncomfortable. All this attention and limelight is very uncomfortable, and I would prefer without it. I didn't want any type of attention or praise, and I still don't. Mm-hmm. The guilt I would have felt if someone did get hurt, if he did do what he was threatening to do, would never be able to live with myself. And I'll take 1 million court appearances and people calling me names and people hating me just to keep one of those people from getting hurt or killed.
I mean, you look at that and you're like, wait a second, this sounds like a really good guy and a nice guy. And you have to also remember too, I don't know how he feels, but if I was in that position and I put the guy in a chokehold and then next thing you know, he dies and I get acquitted and I had to go through everything, there's still going to be some type of guilt that I'm not going into heaven because I actually did kill someone. And you could sit there with the whole criminal case and the whole situation, but in the back of my mind, I'm still saying, am I going to get into heaven? Is God going to allow me into heaven? Yes. In the criminal aspect, it was defense of others. In the penal law of New York State, defense of others is a 100% affirmative defense. But is that a defense on how that situation took place to get into heaven? And that, you sit there and say, oh, Joe, you're being religious, or come on, what are you even talking about? No, I'm being serious. Even if I went to war and I killed people, if I was in Vietnam and I was killing people, I'd sit there in the back of my mind and say, will God accept me in heaven because I killed another human being? And you could say, oh, you're justified. Well, who's justified? Because another human being told me it was okay? I mean, did God tell me that it was okay? Did God? Now, listen, you read the Bible, you'll see God is merciful, but he's also vengeful. I mean, you see what he did to the Egyptians. And with Moses, if you read the Bible, you would see that. But that's God. Does God give you permission to kill others? And if he does, what is that fine line? So that would be I'd be living with that for the rest of my life, that my two hands actually killed someone. And I don't care what you say. The only thing that I'm trying to do here is trying to be a righteous person so I can get into heaven. That's it. That's why I don't steal. That's why I don't beat anybody up. That's why I try to live a righteous life. My whole main objective here is to live the best life I possibly can so then I can get into and be accepted into the gates of heaven. And now that's something that he has to deal with. And you'll see, watch this video here. So after the court, he gets acquitted and everything happens, it's fantastic because of New York, right? You would think that in a liberal city, New York, they were definitely going to acquit him. They had somebody that was double masked. You're like, oh, come on, he's done. But then you got to also remember, there's people that also ride that subway. And I from what I read, there was over 40 witnesses that came on in defense of Penny. A lot of them that were riding on the train and said they were scared to death over Jordan Neely, over what was taking place and what was happening on the subway that day. I mean, that contributes to it too. But after now, he gets acquitted, him and his two attorneys, right? And his, one of his attorneys is Steve Reisner. He's one of the best attorneys, criminal defense attorneys in the state of New York, especially in Manhattan area there. And they go out to a bar to go celebrate. And here is the New York Post reporter. They seize Penny and start trying to talk to him. You could see how uncomfortable he is in front of the camera and how he wants nothing to do with this, as you just heard him say on Fox News here. Watch.
How you feeling?
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
He's feeling good. He's feeling good. He's feeling good.
What's up?
We're
Come together.
Yeah.
How's it going? How's it feel?
Feels great. He's finally got the justice he's deserved.
Did you think it was going to happen?
Sorry? No, we think that this should have happened probably on day one, but the point thing is it happened. So we can't control the timing of it, but we can certainly savor the outcome.
And why do you think it was not guilty?
That's
Instead
good. That's that guy.
Well, he's not guilty on a few different reasons. Because his actions were justified. He was trying to help people on that train, and he did. And number two, he's not responsible for the death because the death was caused by a lot of other factors that we tried to present with a lot of clarity, such as the K2 abuse and the sickling crisis, and cardiac issues. Not to mention the paranoid schizophrenia, which only added to that impact. So I'm just glad that the jury was able to truly evaluate that as a potential cause of death, and that Danny was justified in the actions that he took.
So you listen to that. So first of all, you saw there, Daniel Penny wants nothing to do with the camera. Didn't even want to talk, which was kind of amazing. I mean, if I just got acquitted of murder and I'm now drinking at the bar, you're going to see it's a 180 what you just saw right there. You're going to see a Joe Cozo hanging off the chandeliers, okay, without a doubt, because no one, including myself, wants to go to jail, especially for murder, all right, especially for a case like this, that's for sure, in defense of others. But when you listen to the attorney there, and he was talking about, yeah, it was defense of others, but he didn't cause the death. There was other factors, the sickle cell, the cardiac arrest, K2, which I believe would be, I guess he's talking about some type of drug that Neely was taking. If you put that, right, and then you put it to George Floyd, isn't that the exact same thing, what happened with George Floyd? You know, it makes you wonder about Derek Chauvin. He's got to be sitting in jail saying, well, what about me? George Floyd, first of all, was way worse than this kid Neely, even though Neely had multiple arrests, I believe almost 40 infractions with the law, misdemeanors, punched somebody else out, I believe, on the subway, kidnapping. But George Floyd was garbage. One of the worst individuals in the world. And now you have a statue of George Floyd. And this guy, Derek Chauvin, is sitting in prison, I believe, for the rest of his life. And it makes you question whether or not you think that maybe Donald Trump should pardon him. There's going to be a lot of pardons, a lot of things that are going to be happening with pardons. You know, we could do a whole separate show just on pardons and what you think Joe Biden is going to do. And then what Donald Trump's going to do. And, you know, I want to stay on topic here, but on day one, Donald Trump has to, and he must pardon every J6 defendant immediately. And if I was also him, I would stop saying what I'm going to do. Like he did that interview about Liz Cheney and saying that Liz Cheney should be prosecuted. Relax, because the next thing you know, Joe Biden's going to pardon her and we're not going to get justice. And if we're not going to get justice and we don't see it happening to them, what they did to us, meaning conservatives, then it's going to repeat itself. They need to be held accountable. That's my opinion. But of course, now what happens? Now imagine if all of a sudden New York City puts a monument, a statue of Daniel Penny right in Times Square. Or right down in the subways, a huge statue right in Penn Station of Daniel Penny, the hero. Never happened. Never happened. If it was black, probably. And that's just the truth. I want to play for you, though, this. This, of course, white defendant killing a black victim, so to speak. Wasn't obviously a victim because Penny got acquitted. But of course, then you're going to have Black Lives Matter. And let me tell you something. Black Lives Matter. You're done. Nobody cares. You're a fugazi outlet. You've been exposed. Nobody cares about you anymore. Nobody believes in you. The whole organization has zero credibility. Here is one of the leaders protesting after the acquittal right outside the courthouse in Manhattan.
Because to be real, they didn't even try. Once the lesser charge was removed, they came back an hour later and said it was deadlock. Less than an hour and 20 minutes later, they said not guilty. These wonderful white people, I hope they celebrate their Christmas while the Neely family is praying and asking God for comfort. Goddamn them and goddamn America.
Stop. Nobody wants to hear it. Has nothing to do with race. It could have been a white guy. The guy would have done the same thing. He's in defense of others. That's the whole point of why he got acquitted. Has nothing to do with race. And stop. We're in 2024. Donald Trump won. It's all over. Black Lives Matter. You're corrupt. Nobody cares. Nobody gives, a rat's ass about anything that you are saying. And that's just the truth. But yet, here we are. Still having to go through it. And then you have this guy, this is Hawk Newsom. He was all over the George Floyd era. He's the black guy in New York City. I believe he runs the New York City or the Bronx chapter. He's like 6'7", total racist bigot, right? Here he is talking about how blacks now need to have a vigilante, sort of like a Charles Bronson in Death Wish. Here is Hawk Newsome.
Just like everybody else has vigilantes, we need some black vigilantes.
That's right.
People want to jump up and choke us and kill us for being loud. How about we do the same when they attempt to oppress us?
Right.
I'm tired. I know you're looking for us to be like, oh, go and march. Go and march. No. This weekend, I want you to hold a community event everywhere from the Bronx to Houston to Seattle to Florida.
I can't even listen to it. Nobody's holding any events, okay? I don't even want to go out on a Friday night, let alone I'm going to hold a community event for someone I don't even know who probably deserved everything that happened to him on the subway. To be honest with you. Now, does anybody deserve to die? No. But I'm sure he was acting a fool. I'm sure if he just kept his mouth shut and sat on the subway and just, put his head down, he'd be alive today. Maybe he wouldn't be because he's such a drug addict and such a menace to society. But here you go. And you want to see what a real garbage human being this guy Hawk Newsome really is. So now he's outside the courtroom. And look how he talks to a New York City police officer. You watch this. I feel for the officer when you watch it. You're going to just see. But you look at the disrespect. And it's still a spillover because of what happened with George Floyd. And the fact that this guy's 6'7". Nobody wants to try to touch him because they think they're going to get pummeled. That's another reason when you see this video. But watch what he does to a New York City police officer. It is disgusting.
Nobody's afraid of you. You see how I'm all up on you? You a vagina.
Yeah, move that.
You a fucking vagina.
They wanted one day.
Fuck that.
So he gets arrested, I believe maybe for disorderly conduct, gets taken, then he gets dismissed, no bail, no anything, case gets thrown right out. Alvin Bragg style Manhattan DA, who is another racist pig himself, another George Soros type of DA. And, we're done with all of this. Let's just start living our lives. Forget about all this racism crap and just go to work. Put your head down, go to work. Nobody cares. America is not a racist country. It's not. Are there racist individuals? Does every single person have some sort of racism, if that's what you want to call it? Of course. Of course. But in general, as a whole, America is not a racist country. And for him to do that to the cop like that, and then the cops take it, I'll tell you right now, if that was Joe Kozo in that cop's face, screaming and yelling and calling him a vagina, I'd be in handcuffs and I'd still be in jail right now because Alvin Bragg, who is black and is also racist, would make sure that they set an example of white Joe Kozo. That is a guarantee for sure. All right, so moving on here, let's get into the second huge case that has been going on, and that is with the UnitedHealthcare CEO, Brian Thompson. I'll read a little bit of it. Let's get a little background, then we'll come back, we'll talk about it, because this is, there is a lot to unravel here. A lot, okay? UnitedHealthcare CEO Brian Thompson was fatally shot on December 4th, 2024, outside the New York Hilton Midtown Hotel in Manhattan. The suspect, 26-year-old Luigi Mangione, Italian guy. But I'm not going to sit here and say he's going to be, because I'm Italian, and that he's being brutally prosecuted or unfairly prosecuted because he's Italian. The guy's an idiot. Okay? We'll get into it. We'll talk about it. But I'm not going to stick up for this guy because he's Italian. Like black people have to stick up for every single black person. I'm not doing it. I don't care what he is. You're an idiot. You're an idiot. You're going to be called an idiot. Luigi Mangione, or Mangione, was apprehended on December 9th at a McDonald's in Atlanta, Pennsylvania, following a 5-day manhunt. Luigi Mangione, 26, hails from a prominent Maryland family known for significant real estate holdings, including the Turf Valley Resort and Hayfields Country Club. Jesus. He graduated as valedictorian from Baltimore's Gilman School in 2016 and earned a master's degree and bachelor's degree in computer science from the University of Pennsylvania in 2020. That private school, where Baltimore Gilman School, $40,000 a year. It's $120,000. Well, actually, it's $160,000. You go to high school, right, for 4 years. $160,000 just to go to high school. Kid's super bright. And it goes on to say, and let's just get a little, I think it's deserving to get a little background of this Mangione kid. He worked as a data engineer at TrueCar until 2023. He also co-founded a video game development club at Penn and interned at Firex Games, contributing to the game Civilization 6. Civilization is one of the best games on computer. In 2022, he resided in a co-living space in Honolulu, Hawaii. Now think about this kid. His family has a net worth over $100 million. Comes from a great home. No red flags, no anything. Guys hanging out, surfing in Honolulu, gets into a crash, a surfing accident, right? He has a misaligned vertebra from surfing accident leading to surgery that involved the insertion of metal screws in his spine. Online activity suggests that he harbored anti-corporate sentiments. He praised Ted Kaczynski, who is a Unabomber, Industrial Society and its future, describing Kaczynski as a political revolutionary and, again, who is most known for being the Unabomber. So here you have a kid, right? Let's talk about this for a second. You have a kid who is extremely intelligent, right? Extremely intelligent. What does it say here? Let me just see if I have where it is. Oh. He makes the gun that he shoots the CEO with out of a 3D printing machine. He has a suppressor. He travels anonymously across the country, has multiple fake IDs, right? Gets on a train and does all of this. And he does it in secret because his family members have no idea where he is and can't find him for months. So he's so intelligent, valedictorian, on one hand, and then to be highly unintelligent on the other hand, where he gets caught at a McDonald's with all of the evidence in a backpack, with all the fake IDs, the suppressor, the silencer, the gun, all of it. How does that happen? There's got to be something. We're missing something here. And again, keep in mind that the kid's family has over $100 million. The kid's 26 years old. He's a good-looking kid. He's all over Instagram, social media, doing his thing. And it makes you sit there and say, is there something that was going on outside that we have no idea? Could that be? Could it be something? I don't know. Here is Luigi Mangione, okay, outside the courthouse. Here we go.
Down.
Oh my God, that's completely out of touch. And it's an insult to the intelligence of the American people and the lived experience.
So there he says, what he was just yelling out is, this is completely unjust and an insult to the intelligence of the American people and their lived experience. So you sit there and you watch that and you think to yourself, okay, so let's talk about the healthcare system in general. First of all, it's completely garbage. You have now healthcare providers like Blue Cross, Blue Shield that won't even provide anesthesia for certain surgeries that now people have to pay out of pocket. And I don't know if you ever looked at one of your bills, right? And I'm talking, when I got a colonoscopy, and this was years ago, I looked at the bill and I had insurance at the time. Just the anesthesia alone was over $1,000 to the anesthesiologist. I could just imagine it's probably like $2,000 now. Of $1,500, who knows? Healthcare insurance is through the roof. The premiums are through the roof. And a lot of the healthcare is garbage. A lot of doctors don't take certain kinds. Like when I was living in New York, I had Fidelis through the marketplace. And I thought, okay, this is great. I'm paying for my own insurance. Little did I know that a majority of doctors wouldn't even take Fidelis because it's Medicaid. I had no idea it was Medicaid. What is Medicaid? Why do I have Medicaid if I'm paying for it? And I was paying almost $580 a month for. Now I have my own health insurance. I'm off of the whole Obamacare. I went through a private agency, and now I have UnitedHealthcare. And I haven't even used it yet, which I should, because I'm paying over $465 a month and haven't used one time. Oh, I did. I went to get my skin. I had a couple of skin tags under my arms that I got removed. And of course, you get one of these on my back. I have a beauty mark, and they're like, we're going to test this to see if it's cancer. You have no idea if that's true or not. They slice off a little piece. They send it to the lab. Another $500. They can do that to anybody. Comes back, not cancer. I'm living in anxiety for a week. I can't eat. I can't sleep. I'm waiting for the phone call. Phone call finally comes through. I see it's the doctor's office. I'm shitting in my pants. No cancer. Thank God. But think about that. They can do that anytime. These doctors, it's crazy. It's crazy what goes on. It really is. But anyway, a lot of people that you see online too are talking about maybe MK Ultra. Is this one of the kids that the government is using? And this was a whole assassination thing led by the government. Now, if you don't know what MK Ultra is, you should read the book. It's called Chaos by Tom O'Neill. It is a wonderful, what are you talking about? And it's based on a true story about Charles Manson and the murders. And it's not just to do with Charles Manson. It's really to do about how corrupt the government is. And I'll read to you what MK Ultra is really quick here, give you a little synopsis. MK Ultra was a covert CIA program in that the United States during the Cold War era that aimed to investigate and develop techniques for mind control, interrogation, and psychological manipulation. So basically what they were doing, the FBI, they were supplying doctors, and some of these doctors were on the FBI payroll, and they were giving out acid, and they were doing it as mind control and seeing if they could get people to do certain things at their will. If you take it a step further, and getting off topic here, and this could be another entire show, you had a doctor named Jolly, Dr. Jolly. And he was the doctor. So what happened with JFK, when JFK got shot, then you had the guy Jack Ruby came, right, out of nowhere and shot Lee Harvey Oswald. And now Lee Harvey Oswald couldn't testify in front of the Church Commission. So we couldn't get a real story on what it was Lee Harvey Oswald set up. Was he acting by himself? Everything now goes out. We don't have the killer. We can't question him. We can't do anything because this guy, Jack Ruby, comes in out of nowhere and shoots him. Jack Ruby, who has ties to the mafia, now is sitting in a jail cell. He's going to testify at the Church Committee or the Church Commission in front of Congress and find out what was going on. But before he does, the FBI sends, and this guy, Dr. Jolly, he's all over the Chaos book, okay? And he has his own lab and he's testing human beings. He goes in and pays a visit to Jack Ruby. Comes out and says Jack Ruby is out of control, his mind is gone, and there's no way he's going to be willing to testify, and he hit his head, and he's not going to be, he's done. What's the conclusion that I get out of that? Dr. Jolly is totally the lead doctor in this MK Ultra mind-altering FBI, whatever you want to do, synopsis. He goes in, totally screws up Jack Ruby's mind, gives him probably a ton of acid that they've been working on. And now Jack Ruby, when he leaves there, is out of it and totally lost his mind, can't control himself, can't even talk, can't do anything. And gets cancer. So who knows, even if this guy, Dr. Jolly, gave this guy cancer, in a few months, Ruby's dead, Jack Ruby's dead. And he's totally out of his mind. Look into it. Read the book. Do research. Go on ChatGPT. Just look up MK Ultra, Jack Ruby, Dr. Jolly. Do it all. But I would read the book. I also listened to the Audible book of Chaos. Phenomenal. If you are into Audible books, download it. One of the best books that I have ever listened to. Okay, so I mean, going back now to this whole thing, what was the kid's motive here? Because he doesn't like what these CEOs at these healthcare industries and the whole healthcare industry in itself. So he goes ahead and he kills this guy and then ruins his whole entire life. There's something else to this. Was he on these drugs because of the medication and which altered his mind as well? Because these pain-killing drugs are the death of people. You get hooked on it. Your attitude changes. I remember I had I forgot what you call a hernia operation. And I got put on Vicodins for the first time of my life. And I hated it. I got constipated. I got grouchy. I needed more of them. I couldn't even think straight. And then you have these people that are on them continuously and abuse them. And who knows what happens to these people, seriously. But I want to play for you this, though. Okay? Listen to this. This is Taylor Lorenz. Now, Taylor Lorenz is a writer. She used to work for the Washington Post and the New York Times. She's a journalist. She's a mask-wearing freak, especially during COVID. She's on Piers Morgan's show, and they're talking about what happened, okay? The death of Mr. Thompson. Listen to what she says, Brian Thompson's death. Listen to what she says about his death and the joy that it brings her. You ready? It's really something else. Here we go.
I do believe in the sanctity of life. And I think that's why I felt, along with so many other Americans, joy, unfortunately, because it feels like...
Serious?
I mean...
Joy at a man's execution?
Maybe not joy, but certainly not empathy. Because again,
we're watching the footage. How can this make you joyful? This guy's a husband, he's a father, and he's being gunned down in the middle of Manhattan. Why does that make you joyful?
Thousands of Americans that he murdered. So are the tens of thousands of Americans, innocent Americans, who died because greedy health insurance executives like this one push policies of denying care to the most vulnerable people. And the many millions of Americans that have watched people that I care about suffer and in some cases die because of lack of health care.
So should they all be killed then? Should they all be killed, these healthcare executives? Would that make you even more joyful?
No, that would not.
But why not?
And,
why are you laughing?
I think because it wouldn't fix the system.
You seem to find the whole thing hilarious.
I find your question funny.
A bloke's been murdered in the street. I don't find it funny at all.
I don't find it funny that tens of thousands of Americans die every year and because they are denied life-saving health care from people like the CEO. Now, I want to fix the system. You're right. We shouldn't be going around shooting each other with vigilante justice. No. I think that it is a good thing that this murder has led to America, or really the media elites and politicians in this country paying attention to this issue for the first time.
Moving on. Got to talk about this. Have to do it. And this is Juan Soto going to the Mets. I mean, here's the contract. 26-year-old Juan Soto signs a record-breaking 15 years. He's going to be 41 years old. A $765 million contract. The deal surpasses Ohtani, who Ohtani is the best player in baseball. I don't care what you say. You have a player in Ohtani. He surpasses Juan Soto, who's basically a DH and can't play outfield at all. And I'm not just a sour, bitter Yankee fan. I think the Yankees need a complete overhaul. And the last thing I'm looking to do as a Yankee fan is add $765 million contract in the outfield with Aaron Judge's $700 million contract or whatever he has, plus the terrible Giancarlo Stanton contract in the outfield. Get rid of Juan Soto, and let's bring up Jason Dominguez, and let's go. All right? That's what I want to do as a Yankee fan. But listen to this. This is from the New York Post. Duration, 15 years. Total value, $765. Average annual value, $51 million a year to play baseball. I remember when Don Mattingly broke the $1 million barrier for $1 million a year. I think that was back in '86. Now it's $51 million. Additional Soto could he has an opt-out clause after 5 years. Additional perks. The contract has included a suite, and this is what the whole holdup supposedly was. Juan Soto wanted a suite for his family at Yankee Stadium, and the Yankees brass said, no can do. Sorry, we're not doing that. We didn't do it for Aaron Judge. Family has to pay for theirs, and same thing with Derek Jeter. They had to pay for theirs. We're not giving it to you, Juan Soto. But owner Cohen for the Mets, he gave it, which is an additional, it's worth around $500,000 annually, okay? So it's reported that Juan Soto broke the news to Aaron Judge, okay, who was not happy with the decision. And here's Judge's reaction to Soto in person.
Don't call me. Don't come by my house. We're done.
I mean, it's a sad day of affairs, sad state of affairs over at Yankee Stadium here. But I think that these contracts are ridiculous. I think it's overpaid, especially for an outfielder that doesn't steal bases, can't play the outfield. And like I said, you already have 2 DHs on the team in Giancarlo Stanton and Aaron Judge, in my opinion. Now you're just going to basically add another one? No, I'm good with that. And who knows? They say he's 26 years old. Is he really 26? I have no idea. These players that come over from Cuba and Venezuela and all that, I have no idea how old they really are. Who knows? But this is Buster Olney and all ESPN's and Jeff Passan talking about the contract. It's worth a listen here. Watch.
Do we really believe that either Brian Cashman or David Stearns is saying to their owner, you know what? It's a good baseball deal to give this guy $51 million when we know he's probably going to be a DH for most of his career. There's no chance that happens. This is all about the 2 owners.
It's kind of amazing that the Yankees lost out on Juan Soto and might be better off at the end of the day.
Oh, totally.
No. It's a terrible contract. They go on. I had to cut it off. You get the gist of what it's a terrible contract. And the Mets overbid. And then you have Yankee fans, they're going crazy. Oh, Juan Soto, we're dead with you. Get a life. Stop. Really. If you know anything about baseball, it's a terrible contract. It's the last thing that we want to do is hinder this. We need pitching. Mets need pitching too, but the Yankees need pitching. Bad. And enough with these terrible contracts, what the Yankees keep doing. Max Fried, he's signed. He's not great. The highest contract from a left-hander ever. Also, we got Carlos Rodon, another waste of money. This guy, Max Fried, gets hurt all the time. Here is legend, and I love him till this day, and I still listen to his podcast, is Mike Francesa. He nails it about really, though, what this comes down to. It's Met fans versus Yankee fans. Here's what he had to say about the deal.
Since the day he arrived, they have expected this, that they would have the money to rock the world, that they would cause the seismic shift, and they've caused it. Because not only did they bid the most money for the most highly coveted player that we've seen in modern times, and obviously put the contracts now into the stratosphere with this incredible 15-year, $765 million contract, but they took a player away from the Yankees in his prime who was coveted by the Yankees. That is something the Mets have dreamed about.
It's the truth. I agree. I think the Yankees are in big trouble anyway to begin with. And I think Brian Cashman needs to go. Absolutely. Just get rid of him. It's too much. Any GM is going to be good when you have the Yankees payroll and you can just pay for these players. It's what type of players. Like Jason Dominguez didn't even play in the World Series. Why? Why do we have Alex Verdugo in there the whole time? Get Jason Dominguez in there. Get him a little spark. It's just ridiculous. I'm so done with it. All right, listen, let's wrap it up here. December 11th in the books. All right, we'll be back tomorrow. And what is it? Today's Wednesday. Jeez, right? It's Wednesday? Is it Tuesday? What is today? Today's Wednesday, December 11th. All right, baby. We'll be back. I'm out. Peace.